Hello, my name is Tom Stiles, and this is Tom's Radio Room Show. I'm out in my workshop, and I got my realistic DX-160 put back together. Put the covers back on after cleaning all these potentiometers and switches and stuff. And this morning we're going to try to see what kind of reception we can get. It's Saturday morning, and it's exactly 8 o'clock, according to my watch, here in Florida. And it's an overcast day. Rained pretty heavily last night, so I don't know what kind of conditions we're going to have this morning, but we're going to give it a try. And I already did a video on this telling you what the knobs are and what it is, what the frequency range, all that stuff. So if you want to go back to that video, you can do that. Today we're just going to try tuning around and checking the reception of this radio. And right now I've got it on band C, which is 1.55 megahertz to 4.5 megahertz, which includes the 80 meter amateur radio band, which is what I've got tuned to right now. And I've got the mode switch set to single sideband because most of the amateurs now operate on single sideband. Not all of them. A lot of them still work on AM. And so we're going to use the BFO switch. So let's turn up the gain and see what's. Oh, I am using a homemade outside antenna. It's basically a piece of wire. I think it's maybe 14 gauge wire with insulation. It's about, I would say 30 to 40 feet long. And I come off of that, I've got a coax cable connected to that. It's shielded coax, of course. And I bring that into my shack. That cable is probably another 30 feet long because I got this antenna from my father-in-law who had built it for listen to this. He used to listen to police band on HF back when the police were on HF, around, I don't know, somewhere between 5 and 10 megahertz, I guess. And he was living out in a rural area, and they were still using the HF band for police communications. So that's what he built the antenna for. So the link that he made, which is you want to make that linked resident with the frequency, was for whatever frequency he was listening to at that time. And then he gave me, matter of fact, when he moved back down to Florida, he gave me his Collins radio. It's over here. It's a model R388, and he gave me the antenna. So that was the one of the early shortwave radios I used that were pretty sophisticated. This is also one that I've used, and I really like it because it's compact. It's got lots of knobs. Now the Collins radio is half again as big this way width, and about half again or almost double the height. So it probably weighs 75 pounds. So it's not, can't move it around too much. And that particular radio has served me well. I don't know if it's still tuned because I haven't used it in quite a while. So anyway, we'll get back to this radio. So I'm going to turn the audio up here. And you can see we got a lot of noise. I don't think that's noise in my room, my workshop. I think that's just band noise, I'll call it. So let's do a little tuning here in the 40 meter band. Well, not getting anything right now. I was getting quite a few stations earlier, about 7 o'clock. This particular band, the 80 meter band, kind of dies because of atmospheric conditions about this time of day. Between 8 and 9 o'clock, it kind of goes dead. And you have to go up or down, however you want to count it, to the 40 meter band, which is pretty active most of the day. So we're going to switch over to the 40 meter band, which is right here at 7 megahertz and higher. And that would be on my D band, so I'll switch over to D. And we'll turn the volume back up. And let me stop, turn the volume back down. And this radio has an antenna trimmer. So each time you change bands, you need to adjust that antenna trimmer, or even when you just change frequency. And what that antenna trimmer is trying to do is match the radio's impedance, antenna impedance, to your antenna. Because like I say, the antenna, the length of the antenna will determine its resonance, and when it's resonant, then the impedance will match your radio, providing you're using cable that's the same impedance. So basically what that BFO is doing is pretending to shorten or lengthen the effective length of the antenna. Did I say that right? I don't know. A lot of times I don't even know what I'm talking about. So one other thing about this antenna hookup I've got right now, the antenna connection on the back of this radio is for just using basically a long wire antenna. So you would have a single conductor. You bring it into the radio. You tie it around some terminals, and there you go. The antenna I am using has coax cable with a PL259 connector on it. So I'm having to use right now temporarily some test leads out with alligator clips and just clipping it in place. Not the best setup. Okay, I digress. Now, so we're on the 40 meter band. We'll turn the volume up. We'll adjust the antenna trim. Looks like it was still okay. Now we'll tune the band. Oh, we're not down to 40 meters yet. Got to go down to 40 meters. Okay, see there? Now we can use the band spread, which, as the name implies, it's spreading this band out so you can finer tune station. So we'll do that first. Perfect.
Spending weekends at the bar. My father-in-law bought.
I think what was even there, because according to the band spread, we're probably at the top end of the 40 meter. Matter of fact, you're beyond the 40 meter amateur band. So this is probably an international broadcast station. Now, I may not need, because most of those are in AM, I may not need the BFO. And I'm getting that whine. So I'm going to turn the BFO off. Yes. That is loud and, excuse me, and clear. I mean, I'm just receiving that station. Perfect. So since we're now in AM mode, also, this radio has, we turn the RF gain up.
She pulled in just as I was leaving.
Also, this radio has an RF gain control, which basically is adjusting the gain of the first stage, the RF stage of the radio, to make it more sensitive or less sensitive. Of course, you would want to put it on max for looking for weak stations, and then if you hit a station that was really booming in and it was distorted, you can turn that down and keep the radio from getting what's called overmodulated, and therefore remove the distortion. So I didn't even have that on max gain, and this thing's still coming in strong.
Hospitalized 3 days after
So I'm gonna put it over to max gain.
home one-night stands, year after year of my drunkenness.
Okay, so it's not getting overmodulated. So I'm gonna leave it in that position, which is normally what you want to do when you're tuning the shortwave band. If you have an RF gain control, put it on max and leave it there unless you get overmodulation, and then you could back it off. Okay, let's go ahead and tune this band a little more. Turn the volume back up.
You don't have to answer to no nagging wife anymore.
Now, one disadvantage of an analog radio like this is you have no digital readout, so you kind of have to guess at what frequency you're at. So I'm looking at this scale here, and it's almost halfway between 7 megahertz and 8 megahertz, a little less, so it's something around 7.4 megahertz. And I'm trying to find, okay, now the band spread is showing that it's about, see, there's 1, 2, 3, 5 units between 8 and 7. So that would be 20.2 each. So I'm about 7.25. So that's my guess where I'm at. Probably that's one of the stations located in Tennessee in the United States. Okay, let's go ahead and tune some more.
Throughout the world,
And that's really clear. Now, as I mentioned before, this does not have a built-in speaker, so you have to add an external speaker. And there was a matching external speaker for this. I actually got that speaker from the owner, but the speaker itself that's in the little cabinet does not work. So I'm using just a cheap stereo speaker right now, and it's working fine. Not very pretty, but it's working fine. Okay, I'm going to tune up to WWV, which is at 10 megahertz, for instance, and see if I'm getting that. Yep, there's WWV. Loud and clear. Yep, that, like I said, that was WWV at 10 megahertz, loud and clear. I can even hear the clock ticks. So this radio is really working well. Now let's go down a little bit. I heard something down below that, because a lot of the international broadcast stations will broadcast around WWV because that's sometimes where a lot of people go. So see what? Okay, just gave the time, which I missed. Okay, so we're going to go down a little bit. Yep.
Frog's market in residential property
Wow.
has recovered completely from the crisis, according to a forthcoming first
I am very impressed with this radio.
ECU.
There's another station. And the thing is, I've been able to tune the stations using the main tuning dial and not having to go over to the band spread. That's how selective this is. That sounds like Radio Habana. coming in loud and clear.
Thou at this time. Now, do you understand the question?
That's the religious station coming out of Tennessee, which is booming as usual.
Since you have come, Messiah,
Wait. The sperm is passed on to the egg, and then the man dies. Very, very soon after that process.
Okay, I think that's the same station we had before, but on a different frequency. It's on about 9.6.
Physical reproduction is really,
Okay, there's a weak station. It from the accent, it sounds like Radio China, but of course, Radio China has transmitters throughout the world. So, unless I look this up on the internet, I won't know which transmitter that is. Now let's jump down. Since we tried WWV at 10 megahertz, so let's just try 5 megahertz for the heck of it. And this main tuning dial turns pretty fast, so we can get to something real quick. And the other thing that's nice about this radio, it has a lot of things marked on it. It has the amateur bands marked. It has, down about 2 megahertz, it's got about 2 to 2.4. It says those are used for marine. And 2.0 to 2.2, it says government, and then it's got aircraft marked, and WWV is marked. And of course, this was back in 1975. Some of that stuff has changed. So let's try WWV. Now, there's another station that's right close to where WWV would be, and I'm getting that loud and clear, but I'm not getting WWV, which is not unreasonable. I have trouble getting it at 5 megahertz, especially this late in the day. I say late in the day. It usually cuts out about 8 o'clock, like I said before. Anything below 5 megahertz kind of cuts out after the sun rises. So we can try one more thing, is we'll try WWV up at 15 megahertz, which I can get sometimes at in the afternoon. So we'll go to another band. We'll go to band E. And we'll trim, antenna trim. And basically what you're doing is you're tuning this to the strongest signal, be it noise or whatever. And we'll go over to 15 megahertz. Let's see. No. There's a station nearby there, nearby 15 megahertz, but I don't hear WWV. No, I don't hear anything, which again, it's not unusual. Usually that will come in later in the day, like after noontime. So that's kind of a quick review of the DX-160. Keep in mind this radio was probably manufactured in the late 70s. My guess is never been aligned, and over time the alignment will change, and therefore the reception capability of the radio will be diminished. If you saw my other video, you see that this particular radio has a lot of coils that have to be adjusted to align this radio. And I had one comment from someone who has worked on this particular type of radio, the DX-160, and he says aligning this particular radio is not that simple, and you really need an oscilloscope and a signal generator to do it properly. So I don't think I would attempt to align this, because the problem is when you align a radio, if you're not doing it properly, you can end up making it worse as far as reception. So it seems to be working pretty good for me, so I'm going to leave it alone. So if you have any comments or question about this DX-160, I really like this radio. It's not too big, and of course I love radios with big knobs, lots of knobs, a lot of adjustments. So it doesn't take up a lot of desk space, like my Collins radios and my Hammerlin radios. They take up a lot of desk space, and they weigh a ton. So that's the show for today. If you have any comments, please leave a comment. If you enjoyed this show, please give me a thumbs up. That would be great. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. We have some giveaways coming up, things that are going to be given to our subscribers. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.